Hello, everybody.
Curl check real quick.
Happy Sunday.
What's poppin', y'all?
Oh boy,
Sunday.
messing with his curls.
Here we go again. Oh, she mentioned the curls, so I gotta get another curl check. Hey, baby, what's going on, y'all? Happy April. Yeah, man, it's crazy. A lot's going down.
Yeah.
We here. Like I said correctly, we here. Week what? 15?
Yeah.
15 of them things, man. Super busy weekend. Shout out to the people over at Rocks.
Yes, Rocks Incorporated.
Yeah. My first time going to a gala was pretty dope.
Yeah.
Got to meet some pretty amazing people. Some pretty amazing people met this one right here.
Yeah.
And
it was
yeah.
great time. And mentorship is very important, especially in the military. And that was shown last night, especially for the ROTC cadets.
Yeah.
I wish I had that coming out of college, because it's amazing what they have access to through Rocks. So the topic for this week, for week 15,
coming at y'all.
52 weeks of focus is
living legacy, guys. And what we're gonna be talking about today is very short. Somebody's feeling a little under the weather.
Yeah,
So we're gonna be before you guys long. I know I say that every week, but this time for real, we're gonna be in and about of here. But when it comes to living legacies or legacy in general, that's something that's been kind of ping ponging around in my head and our heads throughout the week. So we figured that we'll give you guys our thoughts on this, basically how we've changed how we move with the word legacy in mind. So as always, we'll give you guys how many points?
4
Four.
points.
It's 407 if you order the 4 for 4 for Wendy's, depending on the taxes in your area.
Oh my goodness.
I need to stop eating them too. So but yeah, so again, we'll be quick, fast, and in a hurry. First two coming from this young lady right here.
Okay. Well, did you want to talk about like the background in terms of where?
What? She checking me on the background. I like it. So, what brought this topic kind of to fruition for us is, we've been seeing all over the news the death of Nipsey Hussle and just recently being exposed to all the work that he has done for not only his community, but the effect that his not only music but his work and what he represents has traveled not only from coast to coast, but shoot, man, all over the world it seems like. And then that got us to really thinking, like, what are we doing, even from a day-to-day standpoint, that will live beyond us, because we all know this is a crazy world that we live in. And from flights to cars to walking on the street nowadays, you never know when you'll be called home to glory. And once we once that moment happens, your legacy kicks in and allows you to live on. And as dark as that sounds at times, it's changed, or recently I've changed my thoughts on legacy, and just trying to do better from a day-to-day standpoint to build and represent myself better, and trying to help those around me more effectively and efficiently, not for my name's sake, but as you guys will see in the points, for his name's sake. So was that good enough background?
Yeah, it was.
Anything else?
No, we did.
Yeah, she a little got a little frog in her throat.
All right, I'm going to start off with the first 2 points. The first point is Jesus's legacy, or Jesus' legacy.
Yeah, what is Jesus's legacy so far?
You have to excuse my voice if I sound stuffed up. I've been literally laying down all day. Yeah.
She's not believing. She's sick.
Oh boy. To start with John 15:5, I am the vine, ye are the branches. He that abideth in me, and I in him, the same bringeth forth much fruit. For without me, ye can do nothing. To me, that's saying that everything begins with Jesus. Everything begins with his word. everything as far as our legacy begins through him. Um, just some things that I noticed just from studying the Bible since I was small till now. Jesus did not have a spirit of fear. When he traveled to these many places, he actually did it because he knew he had to fulfill his destiny within a certain period of time. There were so many people that opposed him, that tried to imprison him, that tried to kill him, but he kept pushing forward and he never had the spirit of fear. And many times, the devil actually came to him trying to tempt him, further into the wilderness when he was starving and, looking for something to eat. But he held fast to that faith and his purpose because he knew what legacy he had to leave behind. Jesus led a life of love and not hate. There are many instances in the Bible where God shows his love towards everyone. I know one specific example was when there was I think it was a leper that had been sick for many years, and he wasn't getting any better. But because God had love for everyone, he touched him, and he was brand new.
Mm-hmm. He told Buddy to get up.
Yes.
Hey, player, get up out this pool. Hey, player, come on, man. But I ain't walking, sir. Bruh, get up. Come on, man. Let's go ahead and knock this out.
And also in terms of, him showing love versus hate, regardless of what they were trying to do with him, he invited them to get closer to God, closer to him, because he knew what was coming. Jesus, he sacrificed his life so that we could live. I think that's one of the most powerful legacies possible. Who is willing to give their life so others can live? I don't know of anyone else I know on this earth that would be willing to do that, because we as humans, we don't think to sacrifice ourselves before, others at times. And he made the ultimate sacrifice on the cross in order to save us from our sins and to allow us to live our life to the fullest. And to me, that's a very, very powerful legacy to live by. And to actually leave behind, because to this day we are constantly trying to figure out what legacy we want to leave behind. And just moving on to the last sub point, Jesus knew his purpose and fulfilled his destiny because he was confident in the legacy he was going to leave behind. From the time he was born to the time he took his last breath, he knew what he was here for. He knew what he had to fulfill, and he had to take certain steps to fulfill that destiny. And we, as humans, we as children of God, have to think about, what is it that we want to leave behind? What is it that when your name comes up to someone who may not even know you, someone else can say, well, this person was known for this, and it not be a negative connotation or a negative saying. It always helps to leave something behind. Not saying a bunch of money or a bunch of material possessions. We need something that can live and go forth many generations after us, because regardless if we want to realize it or not, we have our time and place to meet Jesus at a certain point in our lives. Everyone has an expiration date. But what are you going to do? What I think it was one of the pastors that I listened to, he said there's a dash, in between your from and to date. What are you going to do in between those dashes to make your legacy last? So it's just something to think about in terms of your legacy. And when you do, you think of Jesus' legacy, because he started it all for everyone. All right. That was the first point. Jesus' legacy. Yes, right.
In true best husband ever. I'm about to mess that up. In true best husband ever fashion. I see that as it's rough on you. So let me take care of it from here. We good? We good. You want to get you some juice or something? No.
I do my last point.
Oh, you want to do it? Okay, all right. Y'all see this, man. Before
Thanks.
thinking that, you know, your boy be, I'm trying.
Thanks, babe.
Strong black woman.
All right, moving on to the second point. Leaving a legacy of faith. Starting with Matthew 17:20. And Jesus said unto them, because of your unbelief, for verily I say unto you, if ye have faith as a grain of a mustard seed, ye shall say unto this mountain, remove hence to yonder place, and it shall remove, and nothing shall be impossible unto you. The most powerful sentence or phrase in this particular Bible verse is, have faith of a mustard seed. Not sure if you know how small a mustard seed is, but it's literally the mustard seed on top of like a hamburger bun. Like, that's one. A grain of a mustard seed.
Sesame seed.
Yes. That's all God requires us to have in terms of faith. He doesn't say you have to have a boat full of, mustard seeds in order to show your faith. He says one. So, in order to leave a legacy of faith, for one, you have to desire to give someone your best, but recognizing that the best we can give is not of us, but through Him. Did you have anything you want to say on that, babe?
I'm gonna wait because mine is coming.
Oh, okay. All right.
I got you.
Okay.
I tried to be, It's cool.
All right. And when it comes to leaving a legacy of faith, we are responsible for being the light and not the darkness in everything we do. And that encompasses so many things. For one, it encompasses thinking and speaking positive things into your life. If you constantly complain, if you constantly focus on the negative, there is no way that you can leave a legacy of faith, because you are what you think. You are what you speak. And as they say, the tongue is the tongue is it's such a powerful tool. It's the life and death of so many things. Mm-hmm. So you have to watch what you say. If you say, I can't all the time, I can't achieve this goal, I can't leave a legacy, I can't, your mind is going to start to think that, and your destiny is going to start changing based off of the stuff that you say. You have to learn to speak life wherever you go. You have to learn to leave a legacy of faith wherever you go. For instance, if that's encouraging someone that you randomly meet on the street, that's encouraging someone that you may know, that may be the test that God is putting you through in order to leave that legacy of faith. And you may go through hard times in your life, but to keep that faith in the grain of a mustard seed helps you with leaving and living your legacy. Well, that's all I have for my second point, because I'm kind of struggling to
Everybody give it up for me,
speak.
you know what I'm saying? She should be drinking some soup and orange juice and apple juice and Airborne and all that, but she decided to come out here and give you guys those two amazing points. Appreciate it. Wait a minute. Let me sit.
Oh my God. Give me a
But no, seriously, good job, babe. Hey, Steve, you must have. All right, so as we move on to these last two guys, one of the things that I will say about just legacy in general is that no matter what, guys, you're going to leave a legacy, no matter what, because that is what lives on after you, what people remember you by, what God remembers you by. And I know a lot of times that we kind of learn the I don't want to call it an excuse, but we learned the cliche phrase of, well, God knows my heart. But God also looks at your actions as well. And if we act in a certain way long enough, that does become a heart. So I just want to make sure I put that out there first when it comes to leaving a legacy. And my third point, or our third point, is being able to leave a legacy of love. In Psalms 78:4, it says, "We will not hide them from their children, but tell to the coming generation the glorious deeds of the Lord and his might and the wonders that he has done." So, one of the most amazing things that I myself noticed about the Lord is his undying ability to love. Even when he was on the cross, he is praying for not only himself, but those that are causing him harm. And I think a lot of times when we are put in negative situations or unfortunate situations, our knee-jerk reaction is to respond by, condemning those that are maybe the source of the negativity, or defending ourselves and our names first. And I think when it comes to leaving a legacy of love, we have to learn that even God used his love as his biggest weapon. No matter who, no matter what came against him, he found it in his heart to love that person or love those groups of people no different. Now, that doesn't mean, lie down and set yourself up, but that does mean that we have to understand the power of loving that particular person. You got somebody speaking bad on your name, love them anyway. You can love them from a distance, but love them anyway. You got somebody that messed up, maybe gave you some wrong change at Mickey D's or wherever. Love them anyway. It's okay, all right? Because you don't want to walk around with that spirit of hate. You don't want to walk around with that spirit of negativity, because that thing will, it'll affect other areas of your life, and it's very important for us to understand that, like, when we carry that baggage along with us, God sees that. Because he does have intentions for us, but it's still our responsibility to follow through with the little things, as in loving each other and being easy to forgive, and just making sure that we're never posturing ourselves to hate or show strong dislike towards anyone for the millions of reasons that this world gives us. So this verse, I actually selected this verse because being a school teacher, you're exposed to a lot of different upbringings. I know in my particular area, it's so diverse, in the highest of the high and the lowest of the low, or students that have no struggle, and others, that have an ultimate struggle. They look at us for not necessarily inspiration all the time, but they are learning at all times. So if you're showing that it's very hard for you to forgive people, people are seeing that. Kids are seeing that. If it's if you give a kid the excuse of, well, because you're this, you're supposed to have this, or that spirit of entitlement that is running rampant in the education system now. Or I won't put that on the education system. I put that on our younger generation from a teacher's perspective. But learning to love isn't always about giving. It may be holding someone accountable. It may be making sure that they're going through the proper steps and loving them through the hard stuff. It's not excusing them from it, but it's also just being there and being present within that moment to make sure that they are receiving all that they can receive if they follow these particular steps. So, in short, when it comes to leaving a legacy of love, it's all about making sure that your heart is pure. And if it's not, understanding that and knowing that you can reset it. All right. Nobody's asking to be perfect. Nobody's asking you guys to be, these Jesus number 2. We just want you guys to understand that when you're thinking about your legacy, people that have the strongest legacies have that of loving and advancing just everybody. One of the things that I really enjoyed about Nipsey Hussle was, although it may seem as if it was for one group of people, but everybody in that collective group that he was living in his community had the same opportunity to experience his legacy
Yep.
or the things that he was doing. And it was not just for a particular group, all right, contrary to popular belief. Everybody.
Right.
And he loved everybody. He loved his community so much that he put resources within that community to help people get out just like he did. So that's pretty dope to me.
Yeah.
All right. Last point, and probably my favorite word when it comes to what I would love to leave, you know, when my expiration date comes, is leaving a legacy of perseverance. I think now more than ever, we are called to persevere, not for our own good. I think since being married and being exposed to the military lifestyle and just being near, military people and personnel, I think perseverance is the one thing that has definitely shown itself to be a requirement to be not only good at something but great. You learn that everyone has their share of hills, mountains, sometimes Mount Everest size mountains, but they all have one quality, whether in a valley or whether you're at the top. You must learn how to persevere, not just for you. So teamwork, togetherness, and communication are things that have shown to be the most effective ways to getting toward your goal, especially when you're working with a group. And that can also be true for yourself. Understanding who you are and understanding that God's will is in your life is like super important, because when you show your faith and God's ability to meet up with your faith level, people are watching. Again, bringing it up as a teacher, that's kind of where my point of view is. Getting degrees and all that kind of stuff is good, and all the accolades and personal stuff is great, but there's nothing more rewarding than helping a student or helping not even my student, just a child in general, understand that a little bit of faith mixed with a little bit of prayer mixed with a lot of perseverance equals fathomable goals. And being able to do that is something that I've learned is it is actually more rewarding than the paycheck I get every so often. And I think students and just people in general do see a quality of perseverance from the person that they're actually learning from. A lot of the kids, they see me running around the school. A lot of kids see me, they know I'm not the, super brilliant teacher, but they know Mr. Edwards is gonna figure it out. And I think building that had a lot to do with me being vulnerable enough for them to let them know that I'm not the smartest, most brilliant person in the world, but I am willing to kind of put in that work and put in whatever needs to be done to figure out the answer to the question, or my students last year knew I was running a half marathon or whatever, and they was like, Mr. you kind of big. I was like, all right, we're gonna see. And just knowing that them watching me throughout the journey that I was on myself, and helping them get certain scores and getting accepted into certain schools, and them having come back and say, hey, Mr. Edwards, remember that time you were saying you were gonna run a half marathon? I didn't think you could do it, but you was running every day after school and all this kind of stuff, and they kind of helped me kind of keep going because I knew they were looking up to me, and it's felt great to know that they will be able to take that particular lesson of perseverance and kind of use that within their own lives. So, man, I just said a lot to get to that one point. Oh, Jesus. I think I'm sweating a little bit on that one. But, yeah, long story short, when it comes to perseverance, guys, I'll take you guys to Colossians 1:11 and 12, and it says, being strengthened with all power according to his glory and might, so that you may have great endurance and patience. And, this is verse 12, giving joyful thanks to the Lord, who has qualified you to share in the inheritance of his holy people in the kingdom of light. So basically all that means, guys, is as you persevere and as you witness where your will ends and God's wills begin, understand that you're not receiving his blessings just for you. You're receiving your blessings so that others can say that they witnessed God's glory and God's power within you. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, it's all about you. It's all about you. Yeah, he just talked about how he just did this. No, I'm not saying that just for you guys to look at me, because I know I'm raggedy and broke down. All right, but I do know that without perseverance from my own, struggles, God would not have been able to take me from the place that I was, which, oh Lord, I was rough, to where I am now. I'm not perfect, but because of the Lord, I've definitely learned to appreciate not only the triumph, but the journey as well. And even more appreciative of those that see that journey, because it's not about me, it's about what he has done for me. So, anything?
Nope.
Man, I think I'm getting a little myself, man. Wait a minute. Ooh. All right. So, you sure? Anything with legacy? Anything?
Only thing I have to say, is just, live your life, according to how you think, and I think you should live it, and how God thinks you should live it. Don't rely on others' expectations of you, because if you rely on others' expectations of you, you will never fulfill your true purpose and fulfill your destiny. As we can see, with Nipsey's legacy, he lived his life according to how he wanted to, regardless of, the criticism that he may have gotten. He kept pushing forward because he wanted to leave behind a legacy for his family as well as others to see for generations to come.
Right.
And I honestly think that just based off of his community activism, as well as giving back to his community, he's shown that time and time again. And just not him, it's others that have, left before, way before they were supposed to go. They left a legacy that, people still talk about today, such as MLK. You have so many others that we, look up to. But I know Nipsey Hussle itself kind of hit close to home because we're kind of in the same age range. And, for his life to be cut short like that, it makes you think twice about where you're going in your life. And just continue to pray for his family, as well as others that are mourning him. But that's all I have to say.
Okay, cool, guys. Well, as always,
Pray us out.
it's my turn.
It's my turn, but I don't think I can. I'm going to sound right.
Oh, I got you. Okay. I got you. See?
Yes, he is.
Nah, I'm just kidding. I'm just playing. All right. Heavenly Father, thank you again for another week, another amazing reason why we give you guys so much praise, or give you so much praise, guys, because you continuously give us reasons to show us who you are. And as you continue to show us who you are, it gives us strength to move on another day. Also, God, as we walk in our daily journeys, God, please continue to give us the light to the legacy that you would want us to leave in your name. Also, God, I want to say thank you for an amazing past week, and thank you for the week that you're about to bring us into. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
She tried to amen me early.
Amen. And also happy Resurrection Week, which is coming up on Sunday, next Sunday, Easter. So, and Good Friday is this Friday.
On the third day.
Yes.
Oh,
so,
my bad.
I'm excited. So, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys again next week. Make sure to share this video. Subscribe so you get an alert when we actually post it on YouTube.
Uh-oh, see.
Bless you.
See. All right.
Oh, no, I hope hope I didn't get Babe sick. All right. Well, have a blessed Sunday, everybody.
If I'm sick next week, I'm upset.
Bye, everybody.
See y'all.